trust your name, even when I don't understand. I can see your face, and honestly I'm terrified, but I will fix my eyes, and I know I'm not strong enough, but you are at my side. And even though you've broken me, your scars, they have saved me. And even though you ruined me, your wounds, they have healed me. Even when I cannot feel you, you're always there for me. Ever present in the hardest times, even when I cannot see. And honestly, I'm terrified, but I will fix my eyes. And I know I'm not strong enough, but you are at my side. And even though you've broken me, your scars, they have saved me. And even though you ruined me, your wounds, they have healed.
Hey, good morning, Rio Church, and Merry Christmas. Things are obviously a little bit different today. We are not at the school, and that's because the school recently became a food distribution site for just the community, and some of the people that work doing that inside the school came down with COVID. Words are hard, right? Anyways, they came down positive with COVID, and so the whole school is shut down while they kind of decontaminate and do all that. So we couldn't meet in the school, and so we couldn't meet in person, and so we're live streaming from a different location, obviously, and so we're just gonna lean into the weirdness of today and just not being able to go and be in person. And so we're happy to invite you to the first and hopefully only quarantine Christmas special. I felt really cool coming up with that. So you may notice though that among the things that are different are it's not just me up here. There's several other people here. You guys probably know them, but if you're tuning in, don't know. I'll let them kind of say hi for themselves, and we'll just kind of start this way. Say
Hello. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. For
What's
those
your name?
for those of you that don't know me, I'm Nathan. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm the executive pastor with Rio, and I think this is going to be a really good time. This is my wife, Gabriella.
Yes. I help take care of the admin stuff and do the bookkeeping.
behind the scenes,
Yes,
but not
I'm very
today.
behind the scenes person.
Not today.
No,
Yeah.
usually it's not here.
And then obviously my wife.
Yeah, and I'm Brian's wife. I'm
Obviously.
Ari. I don't have a job at the church. I just help out where I need it sometimes.
Which is great. It's great. Well, it's good to be here with you guys. How are we? Cause it's been we were just talking as we were getting ready and got a lot of stuff going on. How are the Culbersons doing? You guys doing okay?
We're doing good.
It's crazy time of year always.
So what happened there?
I
That's
don't
different.
know. I don't know.
Were you shredding too hard on the
Just
guitar?
did Star Trek.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
We can
If
do
you
it.
had said Star Wars, that would have been better.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I have a tendon that's out of alignment in my index finger, so I have to wear this until my splint comes in, and then wear the splint until it gets better. So
So just going too hard on that
A little
PowerPoint.
out
That's
of
right.
commish.
PowerPoint. I can't play guitar. I can't play keys.
Oh,
I mean, I
dude.
can kind of play keys, but I can't play guitar, and that really hurts me.
You look
so.
like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah. I feel like a cartoon character that only has 4 fingers.
Well, Gubbins, how are you?
I'm good. I'm busy at work, ready for this Christmas season and just really to get into it.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
Awesome. And Ari, how about you? How you been?
Similar to Gabby, really busy at work and ready for a break and just for the holidays.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but what are you guys doing this year for holidays, like for Christmas? And actually, if you guys are listening in, tell us what you guys are up to for the holidays. But like, what are you guys doing this year? Like anything different?
We can't really travel. We traveled to New York last year for Christmas with my family, so we're going to be spending most of Christmas with her family this year. So it'll be good, getting to hang out with all of them, and then we might go see my grandpa, but we're not quite sure how those plans are going to shake up because travel is really hard in this world. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in the
What do
same
you guys-
boat.
We've actually, for a lot of our Christmases, we've been married for 7 years, and for a lot of our Christmas, we actually spend alone.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a while now, which is fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
We did
fun.
that our first year, and it was really, really special. And then it kind
Yeah.
of set a precedent that we can have our own Christmas, but then also get to spend it with our in-laws. Like after that, it was after we set it up as like our own thing, then it was like way
Yeah.
more better for
Yeah.
everybody else too.
Way more
Way
Yeah.
more better.
Way more better.
Way more better.
I
Yes,
agree.
sure.
I agree. We have our own little traditions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ellie is old enough now that like it's really cool to
Yeah.
kind of start these fun things.
What'd you get her for Christmas? What's the big gift?
So she probably not paying attention. She's
Oh,
got she's got a ton of just frozen stuff.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Her
She's obsessed.
grandma and grandpa that are in Texas got her a big
Castle.
castle, an Arendelle castle that I'm gonna
Wow.
have to
Could
set
be
up.
listening right now. She paid attention during service.
You're right.
During little things.
You're right, but
hoping that the veggie
So
salad
Maddie,
is on.
thank you. Hi Maddie. Maddie is watching
Sensitive
Ellie.
TV.
There you go.
And she brought VeggieTales, and so I'm pretty
good.
So we're
sure.
hoping
Watch
that
that,
they're
not
recommend
this.
that, yeah. But she's gonna have a lot of frozen stuff. She's just really into princesses right now. I'm gonna buy
aren't we
her. I'm gonna buy her a Belle costume and maybe a Rapunzel costume because she
dope.
loves dressing up.
That's
So
awesome.
So something that's funny though that I found, because I was just kind of curious what people are doing this weird season for like kind of this quarantine Christmas. Did you know that you can actually get a conference call with Santa? Like that's a thing. It's like the most 2020
Like
thing
instead of
ever.
going to the mall,
Yeah, you can do a conference call. Get this though, it costs $50.
that's worse than the mall.
Yep.
You don't even get to go shop at Big Five.
Yeah. Oh, and with the $50, they allow you to keep a recording of the call.
Oh, cool.
So gracious of them for that. So just goes
Wow.
to show, I guess even Santa's looking for a little extra cash this
Yeah,
year. You know.
Wow. Yeah.
So I don't
Make
know.
money where they
$50
can.
bucks.
$50
You
to
can't
do a
trust
Is it
conference
like
Either.
an
call.
actual Santa,
Yeah.
or is it just a lame white actor?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm
Wow,
gonna
okay.
hope that he has. Like
Maybe
a
it's just
beard
Matthew
at the
McConaughey
least.
or something.
Maybe
like
like
that. That's why
if
it's so
you're gonna do
expensive.
that.
If Matthew McConaughey
That's
was
worth $50.
Santa, I would pay $50.
You can take it out of the church budget.
Yeah.
Industry.
Anyways, well, if you
JK.
guys
Just
are
kidding. Sorry.
watching, we're glad that I don't know, we're glad we get to do this, and I hope for this to be a little bit interactive. So please comment, add to the conversation if you have questions, anything like that. We'll see what we can do. Chris Chappell's actually here as well behind the scenes, and he is manning the comments and
Yeah.
making sure this kind of goes out. So feel free to talk, say hi, let us know you're here. But what we're doing today is quite honestly, I didn't want to have to preach at a camera. That's weird. Wanted to just do something special. So we're gonna take the message I was gonna preach today, and we're gonna do discovery study style conversation using that. And so discovery groups are a thing that we recently started. That I think they've been going pretty well. We've enjoyed ours. You guys host one as well with the Williamsons, and Chris, they do one with the Hammonds, I think, as well. And so we've got quite a few of those things floating around there. And the point of a discovery group is we've set them up in smaller groups like this, 4 to 5 people.
Yeah.
And the point was to get community, because like that's just been harder to get. You can't. Yeah. And so we wanted a safe way to do community, and we also wanted at the same time for it to be kind of a Bible study and learn how to. And what I like about the discovery studies is it's not just someone preaching at you. We all discover the text together, and so I think that's really cool. And then there was like this alternate reason for starting discovery groups, and that was for this exact situation. And that was when if we couldn't, because of restrictions, meet together, then we wanted to have this alternate plan so you can go and be in your group and watch the sermon and the service together. And so hopefully that's what you guys are doing. Hopefully you're gathered around a computer screen or the TV screen or whatever at someone's house, your discovery group's house, and you're watching together so you get the communal aspect of this.
Yeah,
you should be the church.
You should let us know if you're in your community watching with us. If you would
Didn't
comment,
we have a
want to
hashtag?
know.
Yeah, actually, too, if you have Instagram, we've got a hashtag right now. We're going under Quarantine Christmas Special. So take a picture and post it on Instagram or on your stories, just hashtag Quarantine Christmas Special, and then also tag Rio Church at Rio Church. And just, it'd be fun. We'll just celebrate,
Yeah.
Totally.
Especially if you're wearing your Christmas sweaters like we all have decided to do. So we're going to be doing that, and if you're not in a discovery group, but you still want to, like, this is kind of, we're your group, right? So if you have something to add as we go through the verses here in just a minute, comment, and we'll try and get to that, and Chris will kind of tell us about that, and actually I think, Chris, if you'll text Nathan so that you don't have to reveal your voice or whatever. So if there's something people say, Nathan will read that out for us. But yeah, so please interact with us. We were just happy to do this and trying to make this as interactive and community oriented as possible from across the city. So, so yeah, that's it. We're going to do this in a discovery study fashion. So just so you guys know, we're going to be going over John 18. So if you guys want to find your place there, that's where we're going to be, John 18. But before we do that, the discovery study has these steps. And the first step, as far as the study goes, is to recap what we've gone over previously. Now, normally, you'd just be kind of going through a set of scripture. In this case, we're going to recap the sermon series that we've been going through. The Advent series is called King and Kingdom. And so just real quick, like from the last couple weeks, this would be week 3, what do we go over? What's a good recap that you guys remember from the last couple weeks of the King and Kingdom series and what we've covered?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's King and Kingdom, so the first 2 weeks we've been focusing on Jesus' identity as the King. And we all know that he came to be the King of the Jews, but also of the Gentiles, make us all one in his family. But what's unique about this year is we're studying all the ways that he's a king, but he's not like a king that an earthly person would ascribe to be. Very different than what the human definition of authority is, because he came to the shepherds were the first ones to be notified of it, and those are like the lowly people, right? So he's revealing himself to these people that a normal king wouldn't even interact with. So he's a strange king in that way.
Yeah.
I remember a point in your sermon one Sunday about, obviously Christ being born in a manger, and the reason behind that being that God wanted to prove to the people of this earth that he is accessible and attainable in that sense, relationship-wise. But I remember also, going over Mark 10, which is one of the best verses and the worst verses to hear when you're struggling or you don't want to do something for someone and then someone quotes Mark 10 at you and you're like, oh, God. But talking about how being a king and having authority doesn't mean lording it over anybody, but actually serving them. And when you think about it, when Christ was born, the king of their time, the king that they looked at as an example was Caesar. And that guy did not do anything for himself ever.
Right.
And yet Jesus did everything for others. So he's just completely different and 180?
Yeah,
Is
that
word?
works.
A 180 version of what a king would look like on earth. So
Yeah. So, in doing a discovery group, and again, this is kind of hopefully teaching a little bit how discovery groups work. The next step after you kind of talked about the previous week is the follow-up question is like, did that impact the way you do things? Did it change the way that you went about your day this past week. Just this idea of not trying to lord over people, but in order to serve them, to get low rather than try and elevate yourself.
Sure.
Has that had any kind of impact on your week that you remember or think about?
Yeah. Well, just, serving on a Sunday morning in general, I'm just such a very authoritative person, and I like to get stuff done, and I know the right way to do things, and so it's really easy for me to just give instructions, but and expect others to serve and a little bit serve me, and that's not right. So, we haven't had a Sunday where I can actually put that into practice, but I've been really convicted of that, where I need to serve. If I'm a leader, I need to be a servant leader, just like Jesus was. And that's hard for me to do sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. I can also kind of attest to that a little bit. Like, at home, I can be a little bit of a Grinch at times, That's probably a good way to say it.
There you go.
And, so sometimes, like, Ari will ask me to do something, and I just have a bad attitude about it. And so, like, it's the weirdest thing when something that you've preached, like, just kind of hits you, and I've tried to just, like, it's not like a big deal for her to ask me to do something, and so I've really tried to be like, all right, no, I need to chill out and serve, who do I think I am anyways,
Right.
and so I've kind of thought a little bit about that, and that's impacting you there, so I don't, so
I think we've talked about this recently, where it's been a big season of output, and we're giving a lot, and we're serving a lot, and we're doing a lot for other people, and lately it's been a little bit of an issue for me in that I tend to think, well, what about me? Who's going to serve me? When do I get a break? Or when do I get to do something for myself? And again, this verse, very convicting, is even the Son of Man did not come to serve, or to be served, but to serve.
Yeah.
And so whenever I really think about it, I have no business complaining, because I don't do half the things that he did for us.
Yeah. That's what's amazing about Christ, I think, is that he doesn't ask us to do anything that he didn't do himself.
Right.
And in doing that, he sets us a perfect example of what it looks like, and that's just, I don't know, who am I to think otherwise?
And something we don't tap into too is that if he asks us to do something, or if we're in a situation where we do need to do something for someone and serve and output, we have like a means to do it. We have the Holy Spirit, we have his power. He's not asking us to do it on our own effort ever. So that's something that I need to think about more, is like whenever I'm frustrated, I'm like, I have nothing left to give, I can actually pray for that extra something to give.
Right. Yeah. Pray for faith. Pray for mercy,
exactly.
Yeah, that's good, and so it's definitely challenging, and kind of the whole idea here is that that is kind of what Christmas is about, right? It's like this servant heart. That's what Jesus, when he came, the first advent, the first coming of Christ, that he came as a servant. He came in a lowly state. So that's kind of what we've been touching on. And so, like Nathan, like you said, the first couple of weeks we've been focusing on Jesus is the King. But the sermon series title is King and Kingdom. So this week we kind of shift from talking about the King himself. I mean, we're still going to talk about the King, but we're also going to be talking about his kingdom. We're going to start talking about that today. In John 18, so I hope you guys have found your way there. John 18, just a little bit of context. This isn't like a perfect transition into a discovery group, but so we'll give you a little context. We're picking this story up in the middle of something happening. The context here is that Jesus has already been, he's been arrested by the Sanhedrin, right? So he's not baby Jesus in a manger, all right? He is standing before, he's already gone through an illegal trial in the middle of the night with the Sanhedrin. They've sent him to the governor of Israel, who's a Roman governor, Pilate, and so that's kind of where we're picking things up. Jesus has been charged with treason for claiming to be the king, right? Again, we've already talked about how he is the king, but we've just kind of claimed that. But now people are trying to condemn him for making that claim. And that's where we pick it up. And so, Nathan, would you mind reading John 18? We're going to be starting in verse 33 and going through verse 38. So,
okay. John 18:33. The heading of this section is called "My Kingdom is Not of This World." I love that. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, "I found no guilt in him." Sorry, where am I reading to?
That's
it.
it.
That's perfect.
Okay.
So, in your own words, can anyone, retell that story in your own words? And you can cheat if you have to, but, if you can do it from memory, that would be best. So retell the story.
I'd like to try.
You want to try? Okay.
So, contextually, Jesus has been arrested and he was brought forth to Pilate. So, the verses that we just went over, Pilate asks Jesus, "Are you the king of Jews?" And then Jesus says, "Are you asking me because you're asking? Or are you asking me because of the chief priests? Because they have a whole other thing going on."
Yeah.
But essentially he says, "My kingdom is not of this world. I am a king and that's the truth, but it doesn't look like what you're thinking."
Right.
So basically it's like yes and no.
Yes and
And
no.
no.
Yeah.
And then he apparently, I had asked this a little while ago, but it looks like Pilate is taunting him, well then, if you say you're the truth, then what is the truth?
Yeah.
Right.
But after that, he just realizes, okay, there's nothing going on. So he basically says, "I have found no guilt." He is completely guilt free.
And you really did grill him. So
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, just kind of talking about this, it's just very interesting that, as I read through this part of the story that's happening here, is it's almost like Jesus is supposed to be on trial here, but Jesus kind of flips it on to Pilate, a little bit too, because Pilate asked him a question and Jesus is boing flip, wait, are you asking? Or are the Jews asking? Because there's kind of two different answers there, so again, for me, when I kind of listen to the story and study through this, it's very much, it seems like two kingdoms coming to a head. And the kingdom Jesus represents coming up against the kingdom that Pilate represents. And so that's kind of a lot of what's happening there. Okay, so we've kind of got the story in our head. Jesus is before Pilate. This is happening. There's this kind of back and forth. So let's read the story again. And this time, as we think about this story, pay close attention to what this story says about God, what this story says about Jesus, what this story says about the plan that's in place. And so, Ari, would you mind reading that story, and then we'll kind of answer those questions?
Yeah. All right. So verse 33. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I'm a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, "I find no guilt in him."
So what do you guys see this passage saying about Jesus, about God, about the plan that they have? And if you're online and you're kind of paying attention to them, go ahead and comment some of the things that you guys notice about this as well, and we'll kind of add that to the conversation. But what do you guys see this passage teaching us about God, about Jesus?
I think it really shows how he came peaceably,
Mm-hmm.
and this time, yes, his kingdom is not here on earth, and so they weren't going to fight, which was interesting because Peter was ready to start hacking people to pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
And he
Right.
was like, nope, that's,
He even puts the ear back on. Like,
yeah. He even says, my servants would fight to prevent my rest. They tried.
They did.
And
They did
he
try.
was like, no, we're going to do this peaceably.
It's just so
because
different.
this is God's plan.
Yeah.
We had thousands of years of Jewish and Hebrew scholars believing that the Messiah would be a political figure, and this
Right.
is like the last shred of hope that they were right, which is just turned on its head. Because right
Right.
now, if you're thinking about politics or military
Right.
kingdoms, the leader of the enemy is basically coming peacefully, and he's in a court being put on trial for something he didn't do, and he's not trying to defend himself.
It's
That's crazy.
willingly
Yeah.
went. Like,
Yeah.
in what war do you ever see that? How, like, where the
Yeah.
king from one nation is like, yeah, sure, I'll come unarmed
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
into
tell
your
my
throne
people
room.
to stop defending me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's
crazy.
just so different. It's just
Yeah.
so weird.
Well, and something to think about too, like if this was the plan the whole time, Jesus could have straight up just walked to the court and been like, "Hey, I'm guilty." Like he
Yeah.
could have like
Right.
set the events of that night already.
Yeah.
But instead, but like in general, he allowed for the
Yeah.
arrest. He allowed because he knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so
He submitted
just-
to it. Yeah.
he submitted to time, which he's
Mhm.
above. He submitted to
Yeah.
people, which he created.
That's really cool.
He submitted to human law, which is faulty.
That he
You know,
gives
like-
them the authority in
Yeah.
the first place.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
crazy.
And then he did not fight for his life.
Wow.
He did not fight for his freedom.
Mhm.
Instead, he died for ours.
That's so good.
And so it's really interesting to think about. This particular section is just pointing to the fact that he was just giving of himself over and over again for us.
Totally.
And it was a plan that was
And-
there for a while.
Yeah. Like if I were in that situation, I would be trying to justify my actions or say, no, you've got the wrong guy or whatever, but he's not. He's just totally submitting to them.
Right, he
Yeah.
totally could.
Yeah.
He could.
And, he has,
And in a way,
he
he's
would be
doing
right.
that. Like, in
Yeah.
a way,
Yeah.
with Pilate, Pilate's like concerned about like a military uprising, and Jesus is clearly being like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be worried about me. So like he brings that in. So like in a way he's justifying, but like at the same time he's not trying to escape. He's just like, it's not what you think, man. When we say king, when I say king and when you say king, we mean two different kinds
Right.
of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I was just thinking about this, like, so verse 36, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I might not be delivered over to the Jews, but my kingdom is not of this world. So there, he clearly says, like, we are not here to flex military might. I'm not here to stage a coup. But he does tell us the way he is going to fight, though, because he says, you say I'm a king in verse 37, and for this purpose I was born, for this purpose I've come into the world. So he's like, yeah, I am a king, though. But here's the kind of king I am. I'm the kind of king that comes to bear witness to the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice. It's almost, in a way, it's a threat. He's like, if you can hear the truth, you've just been conquered by me. Like, if I'm going to conquer you by telling the truth. Right?
I see.
And then earlier, too, if you've been reading through John 14:6, I'm the way and the truth and the life. So, like,
I am. Yeah.
he's sharing his tactics with us. Like, he's like, I am a king, I have a kingdom, but it's not like yours, Pilate. So, like, as far as what you're concerned about, don't be worried about that. But here's what you need to be worried about is the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's my weapon. This is the way I fight. It's by speaking the truth, revealing the truth. So I think that's really cool.
I think it's interesting you say he shared his tactics.
Right.
Because what enemy would share
Right.
their
Right.
tactics?
He also shared, he's like, so here's how I'm going to conquer you.
Yeah.
Like,
Spell out my evil plan.
here's my
Yeah.
secret, not so secret. I'm going to walk in,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
It's not even a
also
good plan.
there's also something
at least from our standards, yeah.
there's also something I wanted to share that I always thought was really cool. If you were to like zoom out of this particular moment and have the timeline of the Jews from start to finish, from Abram to now, the timeline for Jews was that they were in and out of captivity.
Yeah.
They were in and out of someone else's rule. They were actually currently under
Yeah,
someone's rule. They were
Roman
under
rule.
Roman rule.
Right.
So, and they hated that. They hated being captive because that wasn't the
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
for them. That wasn't what God wanted for them. In general, he wanted them to be free. He made humans to be free. But anyway, so they're in captivity over and over again through the how many hundreds or thousands of years at this point. And he willingly submitted unto their captivity. Isn't that
That's
interesting?
crazy.
In order to free them from their current captivity.
Sure.
But they thought it was
Yeah.
was just the surface level. He's going to take us away from the Roman rule. It was actually a bigger monster that they were captive under, which was sin, which was death. And so I just thought that was really interesting.
That's
If you
so
like
crazy.
zoom out, they're in and out of captivity, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to jump in. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's there. It's just so crazy. Like, can you read through this? Just how much is there? Do we have any questions or comments from online at this point?
People like my slippers.
Okay, that is good to know. They're
so
good
far,
slippers.
That's about it.
That's
Okay.
about
People
it.
said
Awesome.
good morning.
Well, so here's what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna give 2 minutes. Okay, just 2 minutes, not a long time. If you are watching in your discovery group, take this time. Just if there's anything you guys want to discuss about this passage, let's do that. And specifically something that sticks out to you, or even if we said something that really stuck out to you, kind of maybe write that down as something to kind of like hold on to. And just 2 minutes there in your group, we're gonna give you time to talk and be a part of that. If you don't have a group, or if you just didn't make it to go and watch with your group today, this would be a time, again, just to kind of add comments or ask questions and things like that. Yes, even about slippers, I guess, is fine. Aside from that, though, just we'll be right back in about 2 minutes, and we'll do that. So I don't know if we have like music or not. So no music. Yeah. So
It's okay.
you guys go ahead and talk amongst yourself. We're gonna. So do you guys need to let the dog in?
Yeah, probably should.
I don't know. I thought this would be a great time. So.
We understand.
And again, like, so who do we have on right now? Anybody who says hi?
Yeah, I have a good list of people. We've got Porter's Danny Morgan.
Hi.
Hey! And congrats, Morgan, again.
Yes. Hello, buddy.
Maverick's coming to say hi to you.
Mavericks.
Congrats on
Go down.
your graduation. That's pretty cool. So we're
Maverick,
excited
go
for that.
down.
Morgan's our cool friend who graduated from law school. What?
Basically, Elwood's only
For real.
cooler, honestly.
She's a
Jared
really
has
cool
said
one.
hi.
Jared!
Yay!
Ellie has said hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Paul, Emily, Denise, and Rosemary have all said hi. So
Rosemary!
Hi.
Hey, guys!
Yeah,
Long
I just
time.
tried to say
and
hi, too.
Maverick said hi too.
So
and more. The Foyles family are watching online.
Hey,
Adrian,
guys! Good to see you, Foils.
Miss you guys. Hope you guys are okay.
Yeah.
Katie Garrison has said hello. Oh, and Mila.
Oh,
Mila says hi to Maverick.
Yeah.
Mila says hi to Maverick. Okay. And hi, Katie.
Catherine.
Catherine.
Or Mr. Guards.
Wait, is it really? Wow, okay. I should know this. I don't know. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Cool. I'm going to just go ahead and say this about 2 minutes. So
Cool.
Cool.
We'll just kind of
20 people watching online. That's awesome.
Hey,
Oh, that's
hello,
great.
everyone. Glad to see everybody. So, all right. So, kind of going back into this, we're supposed to read this passage one more time.
Okay.
And this time, as we read through John 18, we want to pay special attention to what we think this passage says to us and about us. Is there a command here? Does it give us insight into the human condition? Like, what does this have to say about us? So, John 18, 33, Gabrielle, you got?
Sure. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. "Or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied. "Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it that you have done?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. With this he went out again to the Jews, gathered there, and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him."
That's really cool. So before we go on, I want to ask, Was that the New Living Translation? Or
NIV.
NIV? I think that's so cool because we just spent so much time in ESV, which is such a literal translation, and we've really dived into these truths, and it's very. The versions that we were reading out of were so wordy, but then after we've like unpacked that with the wordy translation, we get to hear this translation, and it just
I was
totally.
about to say, like, that's really cool because like I was talking to Kasha, if you guys are watching, and we were just talking about how sometimes that can be hard, like to read from all these different translations, but. Like to your point, it's really cool that like we spent a lot of time in this, and then we got the third time we read through, we get a different version, and all of a sudden it's like
It's a new life in it.
Slightly different way to see it.
That's what's so cool about Discovery Groups is we can look at it in all these different versions and get different perspectives because we're rereading it back to back. I love that.
I think our Discovery Group this past week, we all read from a different version.
We did.
Which can be hard, but it can also be, like you said, it can be
really cool
too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyways, I was just thinking the same thing. So what does this say about us? One thing that, like, and again, I kind of think about, okay, if we're followers of Christ, and if Jesus is our king, and if Jesus is a different king, then we belong to that kingdom, right? And so I kind of feel like if Jesus is a different kind of king, then we belong to a different kind of kingdom. And so, like, for me, this is like a challenge. It's like that we should be different. Yeah. We should be different. And that's challenging, especially like in an election year, like when, there's all these different kind of human institutions, Republican, Democrat, and we got to pick one. So for me, I kind of like read this, I'm like, okay, there's like an option 3, which I've always been looking for and want, because
none of them perfectly match. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Something I've always liked, it was, you've said this years ago at like our old youth group about how a lot of times we'll read something about like the Jews and the chief priests, and we'll go, oh, those villains, those bad guys. But in reality, that was us. That is us. And so even though it doesn't give us a command per se, something I related to for myself was anything that the Jews were doing. And so what did the Jews do? They handed him over to be sentenced. And something that's hard to think about is that technically was us. Like we put him on the cross because of our own sins, all of us. And so it's a hard pill to swallow. Thank you.
Pillow would be even harder.
To swallow.
It'd be a lot harder than a pillow.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it helps bring things into perspective, which is our actions, our heart. This disease that we have called sin affects people, and it affected Christ, and that's why he came.
Amen. I love that, and I think a lot of people, especially when you read the Old Testament, when you're first starting out as a Christian, you like to see yourselves as the good guys in the story, like
the
like with
faithful
David.
ones.
Yeah, like I'm David in the story, and I'm being the Goliath. But no, Jesus is David, and we're the terrified soldiers that are hiding from Goliath. And in this case, we were the people that would have been fighting, or that he would have to command us to not fight, because that would be a natural response. So for me, it's just telling me that I have to be peaceable, and just let him take the charge. Really quickly, Ellie Aikman commented, I appreciate looking at different versions of the Bible. I've always found that it helps me understand it more, so agreed.
Yeah, 100%. It totally adds value and gives you almost a well-rounded version.
Right, because they have different approaches in the translation. Like, it's all the same content, just a different phrasing or whatever, and so it really does open it up and help.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Jared also commented, we all know someone who would pull out a sword as soon as things get hairy. It's good. Yeah,
it's true.
We have to fight that impulse, because that's the human condition, is trying to take charge. At least for me, trying to take charge and do it all myself. But Jesus came. That's what's speaking to me here, is that he's the one that does the work. And if we were to help, if his servants would have been fighting, that would have just gotten in his way. That would have slowed him down. So
right, it would have actually been anti-Jesus plan.
Yeah.
My ways are not his ways. What were you gonna say?
I think it's hard nowadays to think of ourselves of actually picking up a sword and fighting back.
Sure.
But our tongue is our sword.
Yeah.
And we are so quick to use that.
Just look on Facebook, man.
Dude.
I don't have to look on Facebook. It's just me.
It's
It is me.
No, like it's true. Like that's a really good point. Our first reaction is to defend. Like you even said that earlier, to defend, to justify, to even attack.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you think you're great, King Pilate? Oh, like, and he could have pulled out. The things that, because he's God, that he knows about Pilate, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
That
That's
is
a good
super
observation.
convicting because the first thing that I want to do when something bad happens is talk about it, and I like to say, oh, process it. I'm processing.
Yes.
It. No, I am complaining and I am trash talking and I'm just not doing anything
I
about
do
it.
the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Jared, you're right. I think we all know someone that would be quick to pull out the sword. It's all of us. We would all pull out a sword.
Yeah.
So something that as we were kind of like that struck me is like, so Jesus is the one that's supposed to be on trial here, right? But when you brought out this idea of like kind of putting ourselves not in Jesus' shoes but in like Pilate's shoes, I was like,
Oh.
truth be told, like how often do we think we've got something on God only to have him kind of turn it around on us and be like, because like that's what he does is he's the one on trial but he's asking Pilate questions, you know, and honestly even too like he's like giving Pilate an invitation of sorts, you know, when he's like, I came to testify about the truth and everyone who hears the truth joins my side. And then Pilate's like, what is truth? Right? Like, so it's almost like, you know, Jesus offered this invitation and then, so like, it's just funny because Jesus is supposed to be on trial, but he puts Pilate on trial. And and so putting myself in those shoes, I wonder how often I try to do exactly that, use the tactics of the world, be like Pilate, kind of like come with my justifications or my reasons, only have God ask like this question back to me and just be like, you know, have you thought about it like that? You know, like, oh, nope. You know? So, I don't know.
How often do we yell at God for something that we did to ourselves, you know, or that someone else, I don't know. It's not his fault. That's crazy.
I'm also convicted too. Like, so we've already kind of said it, like, our first reaction is to use the tactics of the world, right? But if we are not of this world, if we belong to a kingdom that is not of this world, that means that we should have tactics that are different than the world. We shouldn't be pulling out the sword or speaking out to defend ourselves. Like, so we should have different values. We should have different tactics and approaches to problems. And I just don't know that I do all the time.
I think I know about them, but don't put them into play.
Right, we were like, yeah, but then we do it a different way anyways.
You were saying, Gabby?
I think it's interesting that in verse 37 he says, everyone on the side of truth listens to me. I think so often I think I'm on the side of truth, but I don't know if I'm always listening to him. So then that means I'm not on the side of truth.
That's convicting.
Yeah.
Especially like go to church, read the Bible. So we automatically
I
assume,
know better.
we assume we're on the right side.
Yeah.
So that's really convicting to think that maybe we're wrong.
Further evidence that we are the Pharisees because they did those things too.
They did the exact same thing.
Yeah, and they didn't listen.
And at the end of the day, like when you think about it, sometimes I have a little bit of sympathy for them because they thought they were doing what was right.
Exactly.
They were doing what they were taught.
Yeah.
They were doing what was shown to them
Tradition.
before. And so a lot of times that's kind of how we do it. But then also how others people, like when others hurt us, they're just doing what they know. They're not always, you know, trying to actually make our lives miserable or whatever like that. Like sometimes it's just human error or whatever. So to have grace is definitely one of those tactics that we should have.
Right.
Danny has a comment on here. Barabbas, who is the person that the crowd chose over Jesus right after this. Barabbas is Greek for son of father. Bar is son and Abbas is father. It's interesting that the crowd chose him rather than the Jesus, the true son of the Father.
Oof.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Really interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, bar. That word bar means son. So like, it's another
son and
point.
Bar Judah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
like
think that's
at one point, you know, it's like, you know, Cephas bar Jonah, right?
Yeah.
Cephas son of Jonah. So like it's the same thing. Barabbas, his name means son of the father,
That's
or
crazy.
his father's son, or whatever.
Our first instinct. Yeah, totally.
And he's the one that got to go.
That's cool.
So like, which is also, you know, kind of going off of that, it's like symbolic of what is actually happening. Jesus is taking the place of like the son, like Barabbas.
The Son of Man.
He's taking the place of the Son of Man. The Son of the Father is taking the place of the Son of the
The actual
mankind.
Yeah,
It's like kind of crazy.
That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
outside of the scope of this adventure.
Too much Greek, Danny.
But it's really, really
It's
good.
really-
Like, it's
sorry.
very good. No, I
Awesome.
think it counts. It's valid. Because that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Jesus is standing trial on our behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
That's so cool.
And I just find that to be just incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny too is as we were kind of going through this, there is like a more direct Christmas tie-in, right? So Christmas is celebrating the fact that Jesus was born, and he even says that, you know, for this purpose I was born. For this purpose I came to the world. I just now saw that. I was like, hey, cool, Christmas. So.
That's awesome.
All right, so again, I want to kind of know it might be a little awkward, but let's take just 2-minute pause so you guys can talk in your group for just a second about this passage. You know, is there anything that stuck out to you? Write that down. Discuss it in your group. Comment if you haven't already on that. We can bring that up before we kind of start to land the plane here. But yeah, let's do that. 2 minutes, and we'll kind of take a pause and be right back.
You weren't kidding.
What? Oh.
She said you're gonna be cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get it though. Ours is really loud too.
Yeah.
And we have a big blow up Olaf for Christmas in our living room.
Oh,
so it's
yeah,
extra
that's
loud. I'm like, why can't we put this outside?
So funny.
Wasn't my
Do
call.
you still have your Mickey and Minnie
Mm-hmm.
on the south side?
Yeah. What's really funny is Ellie calls it, oh no, they died. I'm like, they didn't die. They're just sleeping.
Just
When they do
sleeping.
play.
I know.
Oh,
She's
that's
like,
funny.
it died.
Oh. That's cute.
Yeah.
Blanket on you too. Because my legs
Well,
are
chilly.
starting to freeze.
Shameless plug for Nana's quilt.
Exactly.
Here,
I'm just ready to watch it. Watch it back if she wants to.
See her quilt. Did she make these too?
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Since our house is cinder block, it just holds all of the
Whatever the temperature is.
temperature.
Yeah. The warm temperature over the summer too. You
Yeah.
just can't change it.
Yeah, I get that.
We have like 30 seconds left if we want to let them keep going.
Okay.
Did you ever see our first house? I don't know if you ever went to the studio.
Oh yeah, over
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Williams
remember
has
that.
owned it once.
yeah.
Yeah.
That had no.
It was so hot in
Yeah.
there.
It had
It was
concrete
so
floors
wet.
and everything.
It did. Yeah.
And one of those like unit coolers, but it didn't
Mm.
do anything.
Yeah.
It's bad. Anyways, okay, so I think it's been what?
Yeah.
About 2 minutes ish. Okay. So again, if you got anything you wanted to add about that last point or just anything at all, it's kind of fun getting to interact
Yeah,
on this.
I
I've
like
been
it.
enjoying it. It's been cool. Okay, so after we do this, as far as the discovery group goes, the last set of questions is supposed to have you look inward and to think about these things and what we've been talking about for ourselves. And we've been kind of doing that throughout, but it's kind of got 2 points. As you look into this, as what we've discovered in this text has come out, we've got 2 questions, and we all need to try and think of this and share if we have something. What are we doing well that we've seen out of this passage? And then what do we need to change? And I think this is a little bit harder, honestly, to do. My tendency is always to just be like, I need to change it all. I am not a good person,
Yeah.
but I think sometimes that's false humility, just like repeatedly bashing yourself. Humility is having a good view, and like God has gifted us, and He has changed us, and so, and grown in us. So if there is anything that, maybe, it kind of helps that our spouses are here, right? So maybe you guys can help each other, and we can help each other too, but.
Well, I would say what I am doing well is I am giving of myself. I am not saying no.
Yeah.
I am definitely pouring out for others.
Yeah.
If people need me, I usually respond with yes. The thing I can work on is having a good attitude about it whenever it builds up. It's not that I have a poor attitude every time a request is made or anytime I have to do anything. It's whenever things get built up that I suddenly start getting a little selfish and going, what about me?
Yeah.
So what I need to do better is just, again, we had mentioned it before, like I need to pray and I need to ask God for the extra strength or the extra faith or the extra hour to get my stuff done or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So that way, like, I'm not going on fumes.
Yeah.
But I do feel confident in saying that if someone comes to me for help, 99 times out of 100 it'll be a yes. I'm not gonna say no.
That's
Yeah.
true.
No, I think that's true. You are very helpful in giving.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What are you gonna
Me? I was, I don't know. It's hard for me. I think part of what I'm doing well is trying to recognize, like I think I've recognized that I'm supposed to be different. That we're supposed to be different. I've recognized how easy it is to just kind of fall into the way the world does things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And again, like the election year, that's like a super easy way to see it. You know, the political and like worldly ways. It's really easy to want to kind of pick one side or the other. It's really easy to want to jump in and argue against this or argue against that, or you know. And so I think for me, what I would say I've done well is just in recognizing that is not who I'm supposed to be. And so just like even just kind of acknowledging it. Now, I think I could be better about actually walking that out, though. Because, you know, like what we were saying is like, I know that I should have a different approach to things. I know that I should have a different response. But I don't a lot of the times. And so I think that's half the battle, though, is figuring out that that's a thing. Like, I'm supposed to be different. And I think that's part of. So I think I'm doing that well.
I think also something that I've always said about you, because it is easy to say that you're grumpy. But it's
true.
also something not everybody knows is how much like grace you give for things and how apologetic you are. Like you do catch yourself. So you had brought up a situation earlier when you were like, sometimes I'll ask you for a favor or something and then you'll be like, ah. Well, after the fact you'll be like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Like you were just asking me for a blanket. I don't know why I had that big of a reaction or whatever the
very
case.
unproportional reactions.
Yeah, and typically though it's like a build up, but still the point is like you're very gracious and apologetic and you do want to serve others. Sometimes you just don't realize that the request is being made for you to serve.
Right.
If that makes sense, it doesn't translate like, oh, I'm supposed to serve in this moment.
I have to like reformat it.
Because it instead it feels like an interruption, but what it really is an opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking about is Pam and Jim.
Yeah. Opportunities.
So we're supposed to call the things that I don't like opportunities.
To speak my truth.
To speak my truth, Nathan, I want to know what you think.
Well, I think I go through seasons in my life where I'm never like good at everything that a Christian is supposed to do, which I think is the human condition in general. Right now, I feel like I'm doing really well at reading my Bible, which is not typically one of my strong points, but I'm doing really well with that now. But something I'm struggling with is praying. I mean, we pray every night as a couple before we go to bed, and I try to pray in the morning, like before I start my day. But I don't know. I'm thinking back to when I was in college. I had I can remember this specific time in my life where I would just pray constantly throughout the day, and I'm not in that right now. So yeah, that'd be something I need prayer for. I think is to improve my prayer life.
Prayer on prayer.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I'm almost the opposite. I feel bad because I don't have like those structured, like I'm gonna pray right now.
Yeah.
But I do find myself throughout the day, like as I'm like talking in my head, realize like it just turns into a conversation. With him.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
But at least you are doing like I think that's the first step though, and that's really good. Is to like set aside the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna do this. So I think that's cool.
You don't fall asleep during the prayer anymore.
I don't fall asleep
So
during
that's
prayer
good.
anymore. That's good. I'm just
Inside
so
you
tired.
into the Culberson's household.
Look, the purple mattress is just so comfortable. I have no shame.
It's not sponsored.
Well, this is
Let's take it as a sponsorship.
this is a fun like little tidbit. I've always loved praying. That's not my issue. My issue is more the Bible, so we're kind of opposite. But anyways, a little tidbit that I like to do for praying is I pray for at the same time for everything. So not necessarily like at 8 o'clock every day, but if I have to go to the restroom at work, I pray for somebody while I'm in the restroom. Why? Because I'm not gonna take my phone in there.
Like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
so it's just that
There you
I
go.
call it piggybacking. You just like
Yeah.
you piggyback off something you have to do.
Yeah.
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 So if
Brushing
I don't,
your
what do you
teeth,
do every day? Yeah,
Yeah.
brushing your
Like
teeth,
Daryl.
making your coffee.
Batching.
I don't know. Yeah, you batch. Yeah, you just whatever you're
That's
already doing.
Everything's got an
You
office
just add it.
connection.
Speaking
Yeah.
of the office connection, Danny just commented, "Hey Ellie," or Ellie said, "Hey, can I get slippers like Nathan's?" And then Danny said, "Hey Ellie, that's Nathan's foot. He burned it on a George Foreman roll. It's just swollen."
It's actually his foot.
Yeah,
Uh,
I grew 3 toes
Terrifying.
out of the Great Mutation.
that's a really bad burn, buddy.
Sounds like
I
bacon.
just really wanted that smell
Oh,
of bacon
yeah.
in the morning.
What are you doing well, Gabriel?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Segue.
I think something I've been doing well is not being afraid to share the truth when I have the opportunity to.
That's great.
At work, I'm really thankful that I have the opportunity to continue going to work every day and I have those conversations with coworkers every once in a while.
It's
But
awesome.
on the opposite end of that, when there are people who disagree or want to attack because of wherever they're at in life and not with Jesus, obviously, I get offended and I'm ready to be
Oh,
defensive.
yep. Oh, that
And
goes.
sometimes I let that just ruin my day.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
just, well, how come I didn't say this? Or, you know,
Do you ever
why
find
did I have
yourself
to say anything at
like,
all?
Yeah.
anticipating arguments that haven't happened yet,
Yeah.
and like
Yes.
it ruins your day before they even happen, and then that person
Yes, yeah.
comes and they're perfectly pleasant, and you're just
Yes.
like still angry at them? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're
I don't know
or,
what that's
or
like
I
at all.
think they're gonna come in and they never come, and I'm like, oh, I was ready.
Yeah.
I had something ready.
I
Yeah.
had it.
Yeah. So that's
Just-
I need
yeah.
to work at being a little bit more loving and understanding of where people are at
Mm.
instead of offended for them not understanding where I'm at,
Right.
and
Yeah.
where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
And that comes from you're such a defender of people because you want everybody's voice to be heard. So when you're not heard, it just really
Right.
Yeah. So it comes out of a place of love. I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Sure.
I need to work on being loving, even though it's coming from love.
Yeah.
Well, it's really easy
Yeah.
to do, like to have
Yeah.
the right motivation and
Right.
execute it poorly.
Yes.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
very easy
Correct.
to do.
Sure.
But I mean, like, think about this though. Like all these things we've talked about. Like, if we could do it, if we could be better at those things, like if you could be better at that, how different is that? Because how many
Yeah.
other people are doing that on purpose? They're
Yeah.
actively pursuing
The
like,
scorecard.
the scorecard, and I'm gonna, and so I think that's kind of like for me what I'm getting out of this is like Jesus represented this just utterly different way of doing things,
Yeah.
just absolutely different. And what we're talking about, and the reason it's so hard is because we're in this world but not of this world, so like it's easy to get into the current and do things the way of the world, but we're not of the world, and
Yeah.
so
Just a quick time update. We're at the hour-long mark.
Okay.
of the stream.
all right, so here's what we'll do is the kind of final step of this whole process is to kind of take what we've learned, and we've figured out what this story's saying. We figured out what this story tells us about God. We figured out what this story tells us about humanity. We figured out what this story applies to in our own hearts. From here, we're supposed to look outward, and so maybe we won't kind of like go into depth on that right now, just to keep things time sensitive and everything. But like, be thinking about like, who do you know that needs to hear this? And we talked about this the first couple weeks in our small group, our discovery group. We're like, it's weird. Like, who needs to hear the story about Elizabeth being made pregnant? Like, just walk up to somebody at work and say, let me tell you about Elizabeth and how she got to be pregnant. Like, that's not the point. The
Right.
point is, like, what do we learn, right? And so
Yeah.
here, like, who needs to hear, or maybe even, like, maybe for this one, like, who needs to hear that Jesus is for the truth? Right? And so, like, to
Yes.
take it away from, like, the political aspect of things, the issues at play, and really just who needs to hear that Jesus needs to know that is here to tell us the truth.
The peaceful truth. I mean,
The peaceable truth.
because
That's good.
everything going on, there's so much.
Right? How many Christians
Right.
are getting, like, are making other Christians look bad because they're just so in your face and
Yeah.
so aggressive and so
Yeah.
angry. Maybe what they need to hear is that Jesus was the king of the universe walking into
Amen.
a trap he knew that was going to get sprung on him in an opposing enemy king's court. You know, like who needs to hear that that's the heart of Christ, you know? And so like that's what you guys be thinking about that too. Like who needs to see what Jesus is really like? Because I feel like this is a great picture of that.
And how do I tell them?
And then how do you tell them
How
that?
do you do that?
Start thinking about that. And maybe that's something that after we sign off, maybe that's what you can in your groups talk about for as long as you feel like we're not going to put a time restraint on that. Like, how can you go about sharing this? You know, you don't have to necessarily give like a full gospel presentation per se. You can just say, Jesus is not like what some people say. Jesus is different.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's the conversation. How can you get into a conversation like that? You can discuss that. But,
That's good.
like you said, we're kind of approaching the hour mark. We don't want to make this drag on for forever. And so I hope you guys have been encouraged today. I know it was weird.
It's fun though.
But it was fun. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun and enjoyed this. And I just want you to know that if you have questions or comments or something you're thinking about, or if you need to make a decision, anything like that, after the live stream is over, you can email me at brian@riochurch.net. Is there a way to get that up on the screen? Okay, so we're going to put that up on the screen. We'll probably put it in the comments as well, or in the description or something. But brian@riochurch.net. I will check that and I'll get back to you and try to help connect or answer questions, whatever that might be. And I'll give you this too, just kind of in closing. We, as far as I know, we should be able to meet in person next Sunday in the school. The way it works is they told me that it's almost like a bug bomb. They're going to kind of set that off in there. It has to sit for 72 hours. And once that's done, it's safe to go back in. So there's a very good chance that we will be able to meet in person next Sunday at the school. And we'll keep you updated on that. Just so you know, next Sunday is our Giving Sunday. It's our equivalent of Christmas Eve. And so in years past, and we just want to make this as a tradition of Rio Church to give every single cent we receive that Sunday. We're going to automatically kind of divert those funds back out. And so as a church, we're going to give back to our community. And the two places we're giving is the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. And that's just kind of part of the Southern Baptist Convention. They do this. The Lottie Moon Christmas offering goes to International Mission Board. It plants churches all across the globe. And so that's kind of our world reach. But then our local reach is we're going to give a majority of what we receive to the Roadrunner Food Bank. It's a weird year. It's cold. And the homeless are still homeless. There are people that are still in need, and maybe even more so because just the shutdowns and everything. Some people have lost jobs and really fallen on hard times. So we're going to give to that as well. And so come next Sunday, and we'll keep you updated if anything changes. But come next Sunday, bring your gifts, and we'll give them next Sunday. If you can't come in person, then of course you can give online, and we'll designate it towards that so we know. And so that's next Sunday.
We'll have a drop down that says Giving Sunday. So
So you just
Also
when
give
you
online.
give online, drop down Giving Sunday, click that, and then all of that money will go to this specific thing. And then one more thing is the week after that, December 27th. It's the Sunday after Christmas, but before New Year's. By the way, the couple weeks from now we'll celebrate 4 years. So we're going to do that as well. But December 27th, it's Serve Sunday. And so when you come, I get it's going to be cold. But we're going to do 3 things. We're going to pick up the recess yard, the playground for the kids. We're going to do prayer walks through our neighborhood. And then we're going to purge some of our old stuff in the closet to kind of make room for things and streamline everything. And so when you come that Sunday, the 27th, it's going to be a Sunday to serve. And so there will be a brief, maybe a song or two of worship and a very, very brief devotional. And then, but come ready to serve, right? And so,
I like that.
by the way, if you have a leaf blower, that's the day. Let me know. Also, email me, brian@riochurch.net. We need to know about that. Shelly, by the way, if you're watching, we need to talk afterwards about giving gifts to the family. I was supposed to give you the church card, so sorry. Anyways, aside from that, that's all we've got. And so, as usual, we love you guys. And this was kind of a fun experiment. We'll keep you posted on everything, but again, we should be meeting next Sunday. And between now and then, as always, I encourage you guys to go out from here loving God, loving others, and making disciples who do the same. We'll see you guys next time.